welcome inside the David Braley Athletic and Recreation Center. I'm your play-by-play commentator, Matt Jandrew, alongside the one and only Harrison Myers. Harrison, we got some volleyball action for the men's and women's teams with the visiting Clair Saints coming to town today. For the women, they're going to kick things off. They started the month of January off on a 3-game win streak, but they've since dropped back-to-back games. They've only got 3 games left on the schedule, including this one, going into the playoffs. So only a couple more opportunities to kind of move up the leaderboard, move up the standings. What are you looking forward to today again in a matchup against a really highly rated St. Clair team?
Yeah, obviously St. Clair's 12-1. The women are 5-8. In their last matchup, which was a few months ago, St. Clair did win 3-0. So obviously I'm sure the women will like some retribution. And as we've seen in pretty much every sport, getting a 2-game sweep is very difficult. So we'll have to see what the women can do today, Matt.
Yeah, if there's one thing we've learned, it's from any of the sports we've commentated so far, Harrison, is that beating a team twice in 1 year is never a guarantee, even for a team that is nationally ranked as high as that St. Clair squad is.
I will say, though, St. Clair's 2 losses are the 12-2 were away games, so they are undefeated at home, however.
A couple of losses on the road, so it does bode well as you got to look at the tail of the tape there. Obviously, St. Clair #1 in the West, Mohawk down towards the bottom. But like you said, home advantage. The teams always seem to do well here, but for the Mountaineers, I think it's going to be playing a complete game and really just not taking your foot off the gas, because they've had some opportunities, games we've seen them lose where they were up a set or 2 and they kind of let it slip away from them.
Yeah, as well, the other thing to add on, St. Clair on a road trip, they lost their last game. They're on a 1-game losing streak too, so obviously, yes, they're the #1 ranked team, but maybe the Mountaineers can be able to pull off something. Maybe St. Clair's off their game at the moment, and we'll just have to wait and see, Matt.
Absolutely. We are excited for this one. We're going to step away and have your national anthems and player introductions coming up very shortly, so stick with us, and we will be back.
The David Braley Athletic and Recreation Center for today's OCAA match between the visiting St. Clair Saints and your Mohawk Mountaineers. Mohawk College is a proud member of the Ontario College Athletics Association and as a member adhere to the fair play policy as outlined by the OCAA. Mohawk College staff and the game officials have the right to remove any spectator exhibiting unsportsmanlike, rude, and or objectionable behavior as well as foul language during the match. Please steer in a professional and sporting manner. We acknowledge that Mohawk College is situated on the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee and the Anishinaabe Nations within the lands protected by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement and is currently home to many Indigenous peoples from across Turtle Island. Now, if I could ask you to please rise and remove your hats if you're able to for the playing of O Canada. Today's officials for the match are Ryan Clutton, Kuan Yee, Sydney Gallagher, and Mike Foxcroft. And now here are the starting lineups for the visiting St. Clair Saints. At libero, number 3, Hannah Gill. At setter, number 4, Emma Clements. At outside hitter, number 6, Kiana Huggins. At middle blocker, number 10, Faith Kaler. At outside hitter, number 11, Adriana Carl. At outside hitter, number 13, Lily Surgener. And at middle blocker, number 15, Harley Smith. And the head coach for St. Clair is Julianne Millen. Mohawk Mountaineers. Starting at right side, number 1, Kyra Cameron. Starting at middle, number 2, Jaden Rattray. Starting on the left side, number 4, Sylvia Spoyar. Starting at center, number 7, Megan Battersby. Starting on the left side, number 14, Olivia Roswell. Starting on the left side, number 15, Avery McCockey. And last but not least, starting down the middle, number 19, Ashley Gibbons. And today's head coach for the Mountaineers is Nick Petrella.
Alrighty, so we are ready to get going here. All the usual suspects in the lineup, or the starting lineup for the Mountaineers. Jaden Rattray, though, not a face we normally see out there, but she's stepped it up and taken on a bigger role as the season's gone on.
Yeah, she has played a lot, but she has yet to start, at least in the games we've commentated. Maybe in the beginning of the season, but so far in the second half of this season, we have not seen her starting yet, so it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, team practices, right, Matt? Things change, and some people perform better than others, or just coaching staff looking for a new look.
Absolutely. We know there was the leadership change, so maybe some new strategies and some new personnel rotations for this team as Megan Battersby will get ready to kick things off. The first set is for Mohawk. This one's going to be returned by St. Clair, tapped over to Battersby, to Spolyar. Kyra Cameron's going to send it over, off some fingertips, but kept alive. Returned by St. Clair, punched over again. McConkey's on the end of that to Battersby. Now to Gibbons with a tap. Once again, though. And that one's blocked, kept alive, sent over by the Saints. Rosewell to Battersby. She's going to set up Gibbons. That time, St. Clair can't keep it alive. After 3 or 4 attempts to get a block, that one finally makes its way through, and the first point goes to the Mountaineers.
Yeah, I think from what we saw in the last game, I think a good positive for the Mountaineers would be to limit the mistakes. Really, you know, the missed serves, the missed hits, those are what cost them a lot.
And that one is a good point for St. Clair. Quick attack there. And it will be Lily Surgener scoring first with a kill for the Saints. And now Emma Clements at the service line. That one goes long, so 2-1 for Mohawk. And now Avery McConkey, who's been red hot as of late, is at the line. Had over 60% of the kills for the Mountaineers in the last game. That one rejected. Ashley Gibbons, as well as Olivia Rosewell, were in the area. So the Mountaineers coming off to a good start. Some good defense, some good offense. McConkey's serve goes to Gill. And that one goes off of some Mountaineer players, so Lily Surgener will get her second kill of the game. And we'll send Kiana Huggins to the line for her first chance to serve. McConkey sends that a little bit too far out of the reach of her frontline teammates, and it will be a tie game here in set number 1. And Huggins will return to the line. Huggins serve, just makes it over the net. Spoyar gets the dig over to Battersby. Ashley Gibbons taps it over, kept alive. And that one, after a quick rejection from Olivia Rosewell, isn't able to be returned by the Saints. So Mohawk regains their lead.
Had the momentum just in the beginning of this set, Matt. Had the advantage, not a big advantage, but 1 point advantage. And we've seen any team that can hold on to that advantage nearing the end of the set can usually pull away with it.
That one off some fingertips of Jaden Rattray and Kyra Cameron, sent back over to Olivia Rosewell, who pops it over. And that one goes long, so another point for Mohawk, as Ariana Carl couldn't get that one into, well, inbounds. And Ashley Gibbons will have another chance to serve. Another player who's taken on a bigger and bigger role as the season has progressed, and she can't get it into play there. So an exchange of serving faults will make it 5-4, still in favor of the Mountaineers. And Faith Kyler will go to the line.
That's the worry right there, Matt. It's the serving faults. You know, you want to limit the mistakes because you're giving up 3 points, and the Mountaineers so far in this game, really other than that one, have been pretty good at the service line, and the mistakes are limited, and that forces St. Clair to go into mistakes.
Absolutely. As we saw Mohawk pick up another point there, sending Kyra Cameron to the line. And if St. Clair is a little off their game as the season has dragged on here, forcing them to play as clean as they can will be essential, as another big point, a big kill from Lily Surgener, who's been the most productive Saint so far today.
No-look pass right there, Matt.
It was a thing of beauty. They still trail 1 point, 6-5. Lily Surgener now at the line herself. McConkey puts that up for Battersby, who's going to set up Olivia Rosewell into the net, though, and it's a tie game, 6-all. Those are the kind of mistakes that are going to have to be overcome when you're playing a team like St. Clair, who is so highly rated. Surgener serve, and she'll give Mohawk a break there and give them their lead back with another fault. So St. Clair early on kind of racking up some missed opportunities at the service line, and Rosewell will be up for the Mountaineers. And yet another exchange of serving mistakes will make it a tie game once again, and it will send Ariana Carl to the service line.
Just missed opportunities for both teams, Matt. Obviously, St. Clair so far have made more faults, so Mountaineers so far so good. As I say that, they make another one, so interesting.
Yeah, more than half the points in this entire set now coming from serving faults, and Jaden Rattray will be up for her first time serving today. Huggins gets that one to Clemens. She'll set up an attack that is returned. This will be McConkey sending it over, and she sends it long, just long. And a tie game as this one is neck and neck. And it will be Harley Smith serving for the Saints. Spoyar's there over to Battersby. She'll set up Gibbons. Block. Gibbons keeps it alive. Rosewell over to McConkey. There's a Saint on the end of that, but they can't keep it alive. An attempt by Kyler to get that one to a teammate goes into the stands, and the Mountaineers back up 9-8.
And as these points go back and forth, as I said, Mohawk still have the advantage. They just need to try to start pulling away and get some consistent points here, Matt.
Battersby serve. Clements, and a big strike there from Kyler. Faith Kyler picks up her first kill of the afternoon to draw even once again in what's been a back and forth game. 2 points in a row, hard to come by here early in set number 1, and it will send Clements to the line. Spoliar gets it to Battersby. She's going to set up McConkey, but Clements is there. And then a quick touch right at the net by Faith Kyler will result in St. Clair having their first lead.
And there's 2 straight points, Matt. The Mountaineers had plenty of chances to get on a run of their own, and maybe the Saints will start heating up.
Clements to serve. McConkey sends that a little too far for Battersby to catch up to, so a 2-point lead. St. Clair's biggest of the game now continues, and Emma Clements remains at the line. Spoliar to Battersby, backside to McConkey. McConkey! And the team leader in kills picks up another one here, her first of the game. That's kind of what we've come to expect from her as of late, as she's led the surge for this Mountaineers team. That one sent off of Gill backwards, gonna have to try to keep it in play. Couple of doinks there off of the face of Kyler. It's a bit of a miscue. 2 players going for that one. If they try to keep it alive, and the Saints drop a point here to make it a tie game again, and McConkey's at the line.
Just like that, everything resets. The Mountaineers do get 2 straight points.
McConkey's serve just trickles over the net, and the Saints aren't able to handle it. So some mental errors.
3 straight points now, Matt.
Result in 3 straight points. So McConkey doing it all right now for the Mountaineers, and they find themselves back on top. Gill to Clements. Set it for Kyler. Spoliar's there for the dig. Battersby will set up Rosewell this time. That one's blocked, and it will be a St. Clair point. So 3 points comes to an end, and the tie game returns. Now we'll have Huggins back at the line. Serve from Huggins. McConkey's there to Battersby, to Ashley Gibbons, who punches it over and sneaks it inside. Ashley Gibbons with a great heads-up play to see the empty space there along the line. And Gibbons will take her turn at the service line. Gill gets the dig to Clements. That one kept alive by McConkey. Now another chance for the Saints. Gibbons punches that in the air to keep it alive, and it finds its way to Rosewell, who lets it go over the net. And that time, they rule it inbounds in the back corner after a good strike there from Ariana Carl.
Good rally, though, by the Mountaineers. Going really toe-to-toe with the best team in their division, and obviously they didn't get the point, Matt, but it was really good showing right there.
Battersby gets it to the Rat Ray, who sends it out of bounds. And Kyler will have another chance to serve. Try to string together some points of their own now. See if they can pull ahead. Not something anyone's been able to do so far, as this one has been a point exchange. And that time it will continue as it goes into the net. So another serving fault. We hadn't seen one in a while, but it did plague the Saints early on in this set. And Kyra Cameron will be at the line, the ever-reliable server. Huggins to Clements. This one makes its way over the net, but Battersby's there. Now Spoliar's going to set up Olivia Rosewell. Rosewell gets it to Gill. And that time a big swing from Surgener, who has been the hottest player on the St. Clair side in this set, racking up the kills today. Surgener serve. McConkey puts it in the air. Battersby going to set up Kyra Cameron. She sends that one long. So now St. Clair back up 2 points. And Battersby's rotating out, so we'll see Kendra Baker for her first appearance today. Surgener remains at the line. Lily Surgener's serve. Rosewell's there. Kyra Cameron's going to put it in the air for Kendra Baker. She taps it over softly. and they just have to bump it over on the St. Clair side. Kyra Cameron now setting up Jaden Rattray off some fingertips, and a point for the Mountaineers. Jaden Rattray getting that one over, doing just enough. And Olivia Rosewell at the line. That one long from Rosewell. So the Saints still up 2 now, 17-15. As we approach the back end of this set. Now Carl at the line. McConkey puts that one to Kyra Cameron, who sets up McConkey, punches that over the jumping St. Clair defense. Now Carl sends it over off of Spoliar and out. Tipped out of bounds off of Sophia Spoliar. So Carl will register the kill and return to the service line, now enjoying a 3-point lead. Mohawks in danger of watching set number 1 slip away from them, Harrison.
Yeah, we've seen that sometimes be enough, and usually the team that reaches 20 points first takes the set.
And Kendra Baker will try to do something about that, as she gets a good kill there on a strong strike from the middle of the Mountaineer end.
Yeah, you're at the point now where trading points is really not going to benefit the Mountaineers, with Saints up 2.
Soft touch over there, kept alive with the fingertips of Jaden Rattray. And St. Clair not able to return that one when it looked like all hope was lost. Jaden Rattray comes up with a huge defensive play, getting a dig literally by her fingernail, and she'll go to the service line. Huggins puts that one up for Clements. Sends it back to Huggins, blocked, but out of bounds. So a good defensive effort, but it doesn't find its way back into play.
I'm going to say already, though, Matt, so we're in the set. The Mountaineers look much better than what we've seen the last couple of days. The defenses look better. The mistakes have been limited.
Yeah, they do look sharp today. Not a lot of mental errors. They're just going up against a tough team in the Saints. And they're going to have to battle for every set. Kendra Baker with a strike that gets tipped back over, and they can't keep it alive after Emma Clements tapped that one over. So the Mountaineers back down 3 points, and that 20-point mark has been met. So head coach Nicholas Petrella will take his first timeout, probably well-timed, as he wants to make sure they're all on the same page and a very crucial point of the set.
Yeah, I like that timeout once the Saints reach 20 points. As you said, like, it's just going to be very difficult against the best team in your division unless you're playing really perfect, right on their level. And the Mountaineers have so far in this first set. They're only down by 3. They've had to lead multiple times, and they've looked a lot better than I think we maybe expected heading in, obviously, with how difficult this opponent is.
Better today than they did on the weekend when we saw them last. And it's going to be probably a game where every set kind of comes down to a 1 or 2 point differential. So it will be a dogfight every time through.
And they still have this first team to win 3 sets. Obviously, you want to win this first set, but you got to look at this set no matter what happens. If you can continue to stay on this path, and let's say you lose a set close, you were right there with the best team in your division. You got to look at them and be like, okay, we can win this. We can win sets.
Absolutely, and if they want to leapfrog some of those teams in the middle of the standings to maybe get a more favorable playoff matchup, they're going to have to pick up a win. Well, pretty much every win the remainder of the season, as McConkey's going to get a strike there. And Avery McConkey does it again. That's the player to go to right now when you're trying to crawl back into this set. Only down 2 points now, and Kendra Baker's at the service line. And that time Kendra Baker will make a serving mistake as it goes into the net for the fault. And Emma Clements at the line. Megan Battersby swapping back into the game here for the Mountaineers. Emma Clements. Spoliar's there, going to get it to Battersby, setting up McConkey, tipped back, but kept alive. Not in play, though, off of the arm of Ashley Gibbons. As Mohawk had to sort of hot potato that one, try to get it back over the net, and they can't quite get it cleanly. So they're now down 4 points, and they're going to need to really turn up the heat here and have a perfect end of this set. That will be a good starting point as Emma Clements doesn't get it into play. And Emily Burney rotating in here.
We have another chance. The Saints throwing a lifeline, which we haven't. The Mountaineers do play some of the best teams. Usually it never even happens, especially late in a set. But they have a chance now, Matt.
So Emily Burney rotates in and immediately gets an opportunity to serve. And that one misses from Surgener, who's been so sharp in this first set. She misses one finally, not able to get it into play. And Burney's going to have back-to-back chances at the service line, needing to pick up 2 points here. And that's a disappointing miss for sure, as they kind of right off the last 2 points now back to a 3-point deficit, and St. Clair just 2 points away from winning set number 1. Huggins at the line, and another lifeline thrown to the Mountaineers, Harrison.
Yeah, points cancel out, but again, as you said, Saints only needing 1 to be at match point. So you're going to need almost perfection now for the Mountaineers, but you're right there. As you said, man, like another lifeline being thrown to them, which usually at this point in a set for really any team, not for the Mountaineers, just in general. The top teams don't usually do this. And obviously the Saints on a 1-game losing streak, so maybe, maybe something's going wrong.
We'll see as Galen swaps in for the Mountaineers. That one misses long from Ashley Gibbons. So a series of serving errors and missed kills on either side kind of gets us back to where we were when it was 22-18, as it's now 24-20. And the St. Clair Saints are at set point, excuse me. So trouble in the water there for the Mountaineers, who I'm sure we're looking to come out to a hot start. But if you are the Mountaineers, even if you drop this set, I mean, like you said, you're right there with this #1 team in the division, #3 team in the country. I think you have to keep on fighting. I think this one is far from over. It's just going to be playing a full, consistent set, and in these big moments, kind of cleaning up those mental errors. They seem to pick up a little bit. I thought they were doing really well, sort of not making serving mistakes, not having any sort of fluke plays result in points for the other team. Kind of stuff that plagued them in their last outing here at the D-Bar. And they're going to really need to stay sharp against a really skilled Saints team. So we'll see if they can pull off a little magic here with only 1 point to give. Nicholas Petrella, having just called his second timeout, they're ready to resume action here with Faith Kyler. Going to be the one with an opportunity to win it. Rosewell sends that to Battersby, and Galen just pops it over. Now Huggins sends that one too far. So another opportunity as this set will continue. And Kyra Cameron at the line. The one you want in this moment. Huggins pops that in the air for Clements. That one from Carl off of the front line of the Mountaineers, and they will drop set number 1 in what was a close set, but St. Clair pulling away in the most important part of it after having traded points for the majority of it. We're going to step away for a couple of minutes while these teams swap sides, and we'll be back for set number 2. The Mountaineers now trailing 1-0. 2 getting ready to kick off here. Mountaineers Harrison played a good first set, but not a perfect one, not a complete one. Really kind of let it get away from them at the end there.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue that they were the better team for most of the set, and they had a lot of great moments, and, you know, only losing by 3 to the best team in their division. A lot to build on, and, you know, the game's far from over. It's the first team to win 3 sets, Matt, so the Mountaineers had plenty of chances, and they'll just have to work on those mistakes that really looked a lot better, though.
They did. A lot more impressive than the last outing here on the weekend when they had back-to-back games. Let's see if they can improve upon what was a good start, but still need to smooth out the edges, as it were, here, and improve in some of those areas they struggled in late in the last set. A couple of costly serving mistakes, really the cause of their failed comeback attempt. And we will have Emma Clements at the line serving first for the Mountaineers.
But the main thing, Matt, is they are in this game. They lost by 3 in the first set. They have a chance, and I hope they have that belief.
Battersby going to set up Rosewell. Rosewell off some fingertips and picks up the kill for the Mountaineers. So good way to start things off, getting Olivia Rosewell going. Hadn't registered a kill in set number 1. She gets involved early on in number 2, and Battersby will be at the line. Huggins to Clements to Kyler, and a favor return from Kyler as she gets that one off some Mountaineer fingertips, and it sails out of bounds. And Huggins now at the line. Kiana Huggins serve, kept alive by Spolyar. Battersby now setting up McConkey. And that one unable to be returned by the Mountaineers. So Avery McConkey picking up right where she left off in her last couple of outings. And that one just a little long, so the serve not going to get into play. And this one starting off similarly to set number 1, a lot of points traded. Neck and neck. Kyler at the line. Kyra Cameron's on the end of that, gets it to Battersby, sets up Gibbons. Battle at the net, gets back onto the Mohawk side, but Spolyar pops it over. Now a setup for Carl, too hot to handle there for the Mohawk defense. And Spolyar went diving for it, but couldn't get there in time.
Now once again, Matt, you had a chance to maybe pull away on a run, but missed serve, and now it's St. Clair in control.
Battersby sends it over to Kyra Cameron, puts it deep into the St. Clair side. And a whistle from the referee will blow that one down, and a point will be called for St. Clair, but I didn't see what the infraction was on Mohawk's end. Tyler with the serve, Spolyar's there. Battersby back to McConkey. This one set up for Carl. Kyra Cameron keeps it alive. Battersby keeps it alive. Now Rosewell sends it over, and they can't return it. Olivia Rosewell having a great second set here in the early stages. Already got 2 kills.
And you love to get her going as the Mountaineers continue to rally. You can definitely tell they have a belief that after that close first set that they can very well do this. It'll just come down to the little moments of mistakes for either team.
Gibbons serve. Gonna try to be returned, but it won't get over. Surgeon made a last-ditch attempt to put that into play, but she can't do it. And the Mountaineers are all tied up here. And you're absolutely right, Harrison. They definitely have the ability to win against this team. It's going to be come down to who control or minimizes mistakes, as that one sent over by Carl, or excuse me, that's sent over by Harley Smith, and not able to be reeled in by a Mountaineer. So they regain the lead on the St. Clair side. Now Surgener at the service line. For Galen, she has to keep that alive, and McConkey tries to pop it over. Takes a weird spin off of her arms and goes well out of bounds. So 6-4 now, 2-point lead, biggest we've seen in set number 2 early on. And Surgeon back at the line. And she makes it a 1-point game again with a serving fault. They got to capitalize on these kind of moments, Harrison, if they want to win. When makes these mistakes, they got to pick up points.
All it really takes to win these sets, as we've seen, is to play 5 good minutes of volleyball. If you can get 3 straight points, 4 straight points, that usually is enough.
Usually that's all that it takes in the end. The Mountaineers not doing it there as Avery McConkey sent that serve into the net. Now Spoliar puts it in the air for Battersby, sends it on the far side to Kyra Cameron. And after a little hesitation, it is ruled out of bounds. Kyra Cameron to Megan Battersby, back to Cameron. Kept alive there by Gill. Put over, but Spoliar is there. Galen pops it over at the net. Now Gill puts it in the air for Clements, off of a Mountaineer and out of bounds. So a point off of a deflection of some Mountaineer fingertips will send Carl to the line again.
Biggest lead of the set in the second set for the Saints at 4.
Yet again, an opportunity for Mohawk to dig their way out of an early deficit. Kyra Cameron will be the one to get things going. Got to capitalize right here before things get too far to overcome, as Huggins sends it over. And they're saying that was inbounds. Close call at the line. Will give St. Clair a 4-point lead. Spoliar trying to reel that serve in, sends it too far for Rosewell to handle.
Gets even harder for the Mountaineers, down 5. Still a lot of set left to be played, but we've seen how difficult it is for any team in volleyball, whether it be men or women, to go on a big run. That's a mistake once again from the Saints.
Yeah, Harley Smith committing the serving error there. So Mohawk being given lots of chances to get tied up here. If they can go on that elusive multi-point run, Maggie Gayland will have a chance to get that going if they can. That one, though, not into play. So costly mistakes at the service line for both teams continue after we saw a lot of it in set number 1. Now Emma Clements at the line. Kyra Cameron's on the end of that. Battersby back to McConkey, blocked, not able to be returned a second time as McConkey tried to get underneath the ball that she had originally sent over. Emma Clements back for round 2, serving this time up. Spoliar to Battersby, over to Rosewell. And that one's gonna be high in the air. Gill went diving into the bench. She seems to be okay getting up quickly. She couldn't get to that one in time as she made a real heartfelt effort to chase that one down, but it was a little too far. Now Battersby serving for the Mountaineers. And not inbounds, so serving trouble continues here.
Yeah, really, we didn't see much. We saw a little bit of that in the first set, but not as much, and seems like the mistakes at the service line for the Mountaineers are back, at least in this second set. Still have a lot of time to turn things around, but it just gets harder and harder, especially against a really good team like the Saints.
Absolutely, they find themselves in a 6-point hole now, so maybe that's part of the conversation in Nicholas Petrella's huddle. You see head coach Brad McClure, coach of the men's team, talking to them now as the men's staff supporting Nicholas Petrella in the back half of this season. And I think the conversation has to be, hey, you're still playing well. It's just capitalizing on St. Clair's mistakes and getting rid of the serving errors that have, I mean, there might have been 5 or 6 in this set alone, Harrison, and that's the deficit you're sitting in now. So take those out and it's a tie game, if not only a 1 or 2 point deficit.
Oh yeah, St. Clair's made a ton of mistakes as well, compared to, I think, what most people would have thought heading into this game. St. Clair's made probably as many mistakes as the Mountaineers have, and just comes in this set where they've cleaned things up a little bit more, and the Mountaineers have made, as you said, probably like 5 service mistakes, and that's the deficit right now. So you just look at that, you take that away, and it's a tie game.
See if that timeout did the Mountaineers any good. Huggins now serving for St. Clair. Get action going again. Spolyar. And a point for Mohawk. Now Olivia Rosewell at the service line. And there's another one. So the serving errors piling up here. And a stat line now that doesn't really reflect the true competition level in this one, but it is now a 6-point deficit. Rosewell gets that one to Battersby, over to Kyra Cameron. That one popped high into the air by Rosewell. Now Battersby to Kyra Cameron again. Huggins to Clements. That one kept alive by Clements after a quick rejection from the Mountaineers, and not in play. So the Mountaineers pick up a point after a long rally. Both sides having some desperate saves, keeping the ball in play, and the Mountaineers will come away with the point. Gibbons serve to Gill. Now Clements tried to set up Surgeoner, but it's rejected quickly by the front line of the Mohawk Mountaineers.
And a run is forming, Matt, for the Mountaineers, and now it's just going to be, don't let the run end because of a mistake. If St. Clair's going to make a really good kill, that'll happen, but try to limit the mistakes.
And Gibbons will serve it over. Clements setting up Carl. Gibbons in good position to receive that one. Now Battersby setting up Kyra Cameron, rejected, but Olivia Rosewell pops it up. McConkey to Kyra Cameron again. Huggins there for St. Clair. And that time, a kill will be registered by Ariana Carl.
But again, that was a good rally. That's not a point you can look at. Obviously, you can be disappointed, but the Mountaineers did everything they could, and they didn't make a mistake. They didn't let themselves beat them. St. Clair just made a good kill. They got a piece of it, but they couldn't keep it in bounds.
That's served by Spurgeoner. It's going to be returned, or attempted to be returned by Galen. She can't get it over. But I totally agree, Harrison. I mean, if you're going to make a mistake, if you're going to have a serving error, you're going to have a missed pass or missed set, something like that, that's going to sting a lot more than, you know, a really good team like the Saints just making the kind of plays that they do. And even if you just get beat cleanly, I think it stings a little bit less than kind of shooting yourself in the foot, which they've done a little bit here in this one. Galen sends that one over. Carl tries to keep it in play. Now Surgeoner's got to pop it over the net. Spolyar to Battersby to Cameron. Now Clements setting up Carl. Blocked by McConkey and Galen, but Gill able to pop it back over for the Saints. Now Galen, Kyra Cameron punches it over, put high in the air by Clements on the other side. This one's sent backwards to Huggins. Galen to Battersby. She'll set up McConkey on the backside. Takes a spin off the net, but Clements is there to pop it in the air. Carl tries to get it over and takes a spin and falls into play. As another good rally there, Harrison. Again, I don't think if you're a Mohawk, you can feel too bad about that point.
No, you definitely can't. I mean, that's just back and forth. They just couldn't quite get the kill, but keep playing like this and you'll feel a lot more confident, and you might be able to come back in this game. We've seen the Saints make a couple mistakes as well.
Kyra Cameron on the end of that serve. Battersby setting up Galen. That one put over the net by the Saints, and now Battersby setting up Kyra Cameron, but that one goes into the net. They've been feeding her a lot this set, gotten a lot of good opportunities that time, though she can't make a clean hit at it, and is an error that's unfortunately going to put St. Clair 1 point away from the 20-point mark. Cameron puts that high in the air for Battersby. This one goes to Cameron. And a block at the front line there. Vickers and Harley Smith jumping for that one. Whoever got a piece of it sent it back too quickly for the Mountaineers to react to. And now Destiny Reimer will check into the game for the first time on the Mohawk side. And that serve from Spurgeoner sent long. So 8 points seems like a mountain to climb at this stage, Harrison, but not impossible with the way we've seen them play at points today. Just like you said, you're not leaving a lot of room for those unforced errors. Now Vickers sets up Harley Smith, but she doesn't get into play. So that lead shrinks down to 7 and one step closer to making a comeback in a set that you have played pretty well in. McConkey's serve. There's a dig on the Mountaineers side. Carls tries to get that over into the net. So a string of points coming not a moment too soon for the Mountaineers. If this keeps going, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a St. Clair timeout. Now Morton checking in for the Mountaineers, and McConkey still at the line. Vickers setting up Huggins. Spoyar's there to make the dig. Now Morton puts it up too far to the net for anyone to get to, but after quickly coming back over, they return it. Now Huggins gonna punch it up. Gayland just gets that over. Now Vickers setting up Carl. Destiny Reimer sends it to Spoyar, who's just got to put it into play. Now Vickers sending it to Carl. And that one finds a soft spot in the middle of the Mountaineers defense. So after a good run of points, it's back to a 7-point lead for the Saints, and Mohawk kind of with their back up against the wall yet again. Calling a timeout here.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but again, Matt, credit McConkey. She did not make a mistake at the service line, gave the Mountaineers, you know, the perfect chance. And we see what happens when they don't make a mistake at service line. They create such a great rally. They had a chance to get a point there, and they sadly didn't. Now they find themselves down 7, but you can clearly see just, if you take away those mistakes, they played some really good volleyball so far.
Yeah, certainly playing like a team who's capable of being up, competing with those sides on the top of the standings. But right now, they are facing a bit of a do-or-die moment in set number 2, and honestly falling down 2-0 to a team as highly ranked as the Saints are. Maybe some would see as a bit of a death sentence, but with the way they played, if they can, and they seem to be getting better even as the game goes on, I wouldn't be surprised if this one does go in the Saints' favor, to see them pick up, you know, a third or a fourth set and kind of have a rally, find a way to maybe send this one to overtime if they do indeed go into a 2-0 hole. Now Carl with the serve. Destiny Reimer keeps it alive. It finds its way to Gayland, but a block by Harley Smith will put Mohawk into even more dangerous territory and send Carl back to the service line, just looking to pick up those final 3 points. Destiny Reimer's there. Morton's going to do it herself. Now Vickers setting up Huggins, tipped off of a couple of players. Gayland and Naomi Morton trying to block that, couldn't get to it. Sails off of them and into no man's land for another point for the Saints, as they're now just 2 away, 1 point away from set point. Kyra Cameron pops that up to Naomi Morton. She's going to set up Gayland, blocked. Spoyar, Morton, back to McConkey. Guess who? Avery McConkey. The shining light here in this set as she's been almost perfect. Picking up a huge kill to give Mohawk kind of one more chance to go on a run. Kyra Cameron will be the one to kick that off, hopefully. Vickers to Huggins, blocked back onto the St. Clair side, kept alive by Vickers. Now Huggins with another chance, and that one just in bounds. Unfortunate for Mohawk, is 9 times out of 10 that ball probably sails long, but they do find a way to keep it in play, and a good strike by Huggins. Now Smith at the line. Harley Smith looking to get them the win in set number 2. Spolyard just pops it over herself. St. Clair almost unable to return it, but Gayland will put that a little too far. Now Kyra Cameron to Rosewell. And Olivia Rosewell picks up her 3rd kill of the set, I believe. She's been effective. Rotated out there for a minute, but she's back in. See Carl try to get to that one. It was a little bit too. Galen with the serve. Huggins with the attack. Finds a spot, an empty spot, past Morton there. And that will be set number 2. So the St. Clair Saints up 2 sets to none. Kind of pulled away after a series of Mohawk serving errors, and now they have Mohawks back up against the wall, and on the Mountaineer side they're in danger of being swept 3-0 in 3 consecutive games. They're going to have to find a new gear here to pull this one back into striking distance and get this to a 5th overtime set. We're going to step away while the teams game plan and strategize for set number 3 here in the D-Bar. So we've got about 40 seconds here before set number 3. If you missed any of the previous action today, the Mountaineers and Saints had some good back and forth, but the Mohawk side finds themselves down 2 sets to nothing after playing a good opening set, and then some late mistakes kind of costing them. And then in the second set, Harrison, a series of serving errors, kind of building a lead that was too insurmountable to climb. As they were right there, and then they almost had a little bit of a late push, and in the end it was just too much distance to cover against a really strong St. Clair side.
Yeah, and you can see the difference in the score between the first 2 sets when the Mountaineers make less serving mistakes compared to when they make one too many, and there's a 6-point difference in between the 2. But still up another 3rd set here to continue what has been a pretty good day of volleyball for them against a really good St. Clair Saints team.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily a game even if it's a 3-0 sweep, that you're going to walk away from with no positives. A lot of good things were done. Just shows you where you need to be to compete with the top teams, and another good lesson to learn as you head into the playoffs, and there's going to be no easy matchups, excuse me. And Kyra Cameron's going to be the one to get set 3 kicked off here. Huggins to Vickers. High in the air, blocked by McConkey. Ashley Gibbons was there too. That's the other Clements, Samantha Clements, tried to get that one over. So you gotta look at the replay. Looks like it was Gibbons, actually. Hard to tell from that angle. Anyway, this one goes to Vickers, setting up Surgeoner. She gets the kill. Sorry, that was Kyler picking up the kill for the Saints. Now Huggins with the serve. High in the air from Spolyar. Cameron puts that up for McConkey. Vickers to Huggins, over to the Mountaineer side. Now Mohawk puts it back over. And they're saying deflected off of a Saint, so McConkey will register another point. Another kill there. I think they're going to feed the hot hand here, Harrison. A couple of back-to-back plays going to McConkey and resulting in Mountaineer points. And that one is a tough momentum killer early as Rosewell makes an unfortunate error there. And it will send Faith Kyler to the line. Bernie takes a weird hit on that. Rosewell's able to get it to Spolyar, puts it into play. Huggins on the other side to Vickers. That one's set up for Clements. Now Cameron backwards to McConkey. Put high in the air by Vickers. Huggins, Clements. McConkey kept it alive. But the referees blow it down and say St. Clair points.
Another great rally, just an infraction there, but Mountaineers playing their best volleyball, limiting their mistakes, and to tell with how good these rallies are as they get another one right there, Matt.
Yeah, Rosewell trying to get the dig, and she ends up popping it over the net, and I don't think they were expecting it on the St. Clair side so quickly and not able to handle it. And it will get Gibbons to the line with a 3-3 score line. Gill to Vickers. Over to Carl. Carl picks up the kill there.
I feel like some points, really the best points to get are the ones, the unpredictable. Obviously, it's very easy to, you see certain players that are getting the most kills, but sometimes for the Mountaineers, when they do go to a new look, it can usually turn out to be the best decision, as we just see right there with Bernie.
Emily Bernie getting her first kill of the day. She sends that one just inside the back line. Well-placed attack there. I think Gill and Huggins, you see them watching, I think they were thinking out of bounds the whole time. Huggins gets a dig off of McConkey serve there. This one goes to Carl. Spolyar to Kyra Cameron to Jaden Rattray. Huggins has to dive to keep that one alive. Goes to Vickers. Blocked. Jaden Rattray coming off the bench in this set, having a huge impact with a great defensive play, and McConkey will go to the line. Huggins with the dig. Vickers to Smith, and Harley Smith misses that time. So a series of good plays by the Mountaineers and a mistake there on the return fire from the Saints will give Mohawk a 2-point lead.
And it all starts with McConkey. I hope I don't jinx her. She's not missing serves. She's not letting her team down in that regard, and that was just a beautiful play there. But that's, and you might say that's the bare minimum, but for both teams, like, when you just kill your momentum like that, it's the worst possible feeling. McConkey really started that run with just not missing her serves and having some really good ones.
Absolutely, she has been the catalyst for a lot of good things today with Carl at the line. Rosewell to Cameron, to Bernie. That time sends it long. Now we'll have Carl back at the line. Ariana Carl. Bernie's there, reel it in from Spolyar back to Bernie off of some fingertips. I guess it went out cleanly. To me, it looked like it went off of a Saints player, but did in fact not deflect. So a clean point for the Saints. now up a point on a 3-point swing. This one finds its way back to Bernie. That time off some fingertips and into play. But Gill couldn't catch up to it, so Emily Bernie having her best offensive output. And she'll go to the line. Huggins to Vickers, back to Huggins. And she kind of had to change direction to try to get underneath that one, and I think it threw off her timing a little bit as she puts it into the net. So the Mountaineers, back up a point here. Bernie at the line second time around. That one trickles over the net, and Huggins is there. Vickers to Huggins. That time Huggins makes no mistake about it with a good strike in an area that was difficult for Spoliar to get to. So 8-8, but yet again, Harrison, we find ourselves in a set where the Mountaineers are neck and neck with the St. Clair team. They're gonna need to play pretty mistake-free though the rest of the way if they want to get a win here and stay alive in the game. Spoliar puts that in the air. Rosewell's gonna send it over. Smith is there. This one from Rattray goes to Kyra Cameron over to Rosewell. That time, Rosewell picks up the point.
And why is this set so close? The Mountaineers have not made a serving mistake. They haven't let that happen. You're gonna miss kills, that happens. But exactly, knock on wood, they haven't made that mistake. And just like in the first set, they are neck and neck with this good St. Clair Saint team.
And that time, Olivia Rosewell makes a good play right at the net. Finding an area where no one was on the St. Clair side. And she's putting together another good performance today. She's turned up the heat offensively. Rattray serve, another one good over the net. This one from Vickers to Huggins. Leave that one off of McConkey and out of bounds.
The front line that time, I just didn't get up quickly enough, but it's been solid so far, and Mountaineers still holding that 1-point lead.
Now Brooke Vickers with the serve. Bernie to Cameron. Rosewell again, tips off some Saints and gonna be kept alive, but Ashley Gibbons right at the net. Making a big defensive play, turning it into some offense, giving the Mountaineers another 2-point lead, and Kyra Cameron will be at the line. Kyra Cameron serve. Gill's there to Vickers, setting up Huggins. I believe that one off of a Mountaineer. No, it did not. So another point for the Mountaineers, 3-point lead now. And you're right, Harrison, no serving mistakes so far. Again, knocking on wood when I say that. And also the Mountaineers just making plays, making big plays throughout this whole set so far. Vickers setting up Huggins. Spoliar puts that in the air. Kyra Cameron for Rosewell, blocked, but she pops it back over. I believe they're gonna say double touch, too many touches, excuse me there. Rosewell though, can't hang her head too bad as she's had one of the best sets we've seen her play so far.
Yeah, the Mountaineers are not letting any really mistakes happen. They're not killing their momentum before it starts. Saints down by 2, and we'll have to see if they can keep this up, Matt.
Gibbons pops that over. Gibbons catching them off guard. She's been very productive right around the net in this set, and she picks up another point. Her and McConkey kind of forming a dynamic duo in that front line. Rosewell serve to Gill. This one finds its way back over. Spoliar. Bernie, that time sends it too long. Right idea, just not quite able to sneak it in. I do like the way they're mixing up the attack, though. You do feel like there's that element of surprise that sometimes feel lax a little bit in their attack, but right now getting everybody involved. This time it'll be McConkey off some fingertips and out of bounds. Is that McConkey strike a little too difficult to get a clean block on?
Now number 19, Ashley Gibbons.
Now Brianne Hobbin subbing in her first time today on the floor for St. Clair. Ashley Gibbons serving for the Mohawk Mountaineers, and that's the first one, but I mean, it took until 14-12 to see a serving error, Harrison, so
Yeah.
much better.
And that's okay. Like, you're gonna make
They're gonna
mistakes.
happen,
It's gonna happen. I think for every team it's happened at least once. But now you're still up by 2, and you have a chance to keep it going.
Vickers to Smith. And Smith kind of with a change-up pitch there. She just volleys it over. Everyone prepping for the big strike. No one able to get to the softie. Now Clemens serve, popped immediately back over by the Mountaineers. Vickers gonna set up Hobbins, but it's rejected by the Mountaineers front line. So more good defensive play coming up big as that one just sneaks inside. And that time a serving ace from Avery McConkey and a timeout called. First time St. Clair's called a timeout all game, Harrison. Momentum building for the Mountaineers. It's going to be a matter of if they can keep it going for the remainder of the set, but they are in that crucial point we always talk about right now. Building a 3, 4, 5 point lead can really be, you know, a death sentence for the other team.
Yeah, probably not the best song to be playing when you're up, knowing what the team that plays this song does. But McConkey, I mean, the improvement at the service line is really good. I mean, she has been absolutely amazing this game. She's had a lot of kills, but every time she's been at the line, Matt, I think she's made maybe one mistake. And other than that, she's been great.
Yeah, she really has been absolutely stellar. As you see, head coach Nicholas Petrella there stepping up as the interim coach. And we will get ready to resume action here in set 3. The Mountaineers surging, hoping to stay alive, hoping to keep their good momentum rolling. Huggins on the end of that McConkey serve to Vickers. That one to Hobbins, so Hobbins comes off the bench and quickly picks up a good-looking kill as McConkey can't quite reel it in on the Mohawk side. Rosewell to Kyra Cameron. Over to Jaden Rattray. This one returned by the Saints, and the Saints come out of that timeout with 2 quick kills. Looking like it was a productive discussion in that huddle, Harrison.
Yeah, the Mountaineers just going to have to reset here. You're still in control of this set. Still a lot of volleyball to be played, and just going to need to try to break the serve and get a point back.
Kyra Cameron sends it back to Bernie, who reeled in the serve. Clemens sends that one backwards to Hobbin. Rattray's going to put that over softly, trying to catch St. Clair off guard, but they will send it back over. Kyra Cameron trying to do the same thing. That time, Huggins just pops it high in the air. Bernie's attack blocked. Rattray sends it backwards. Bernie pops that over. Ball battling around the net. That one kept alive by McConkey and then Rattray. Backwards set up there. Popped high in the air. Spolyar again popped it high in the air, back to Rosewell, who puts it over the net. Spolyar with a nice dig there. Kyra Cameron puts it over quickly. A good dig on the St. Clair side. And that time, finally, they pick up the point. As Huggins had 3 or 4 chances in that rally to pick up the kill, and finally she gets it done. We're at a tie game now, so if you're Mohawk, just everyone needs to take a bit of a deep breath, I think, realize this was probably inevitable, a comeback of some form for St. Clair, but you still have done so much good as that one from Hobbin is long.
And that's a deserved point for the Mountaineers after that great rally where they didn't make a mistake. Just a really nice kill at the end. But they do get the point back, so they keep the lead and keep at least some control in this game.
Gill puts that high in the air. Vickers sets up Smith off of Bernie, high and backwards out of bounds. And this one feels like it's going to come down to the wire as these teams are back to being neck and neck after Mohawk had popped out to a good lead. Now Smith at the line. Bernie gets that to Kyra Cameron, who puts it high in the air for Olivia Rosewell. Hobbins on the end of that. Vickers to Huggins. Kiana Huggins picking up the point. Hobbin and Huggins tripped me up a little bit, Harrison. Too many similar names.
Yeah, and with that, Matt, the St. Clair Saints do break the Mountaineers and take their first lead in a little bit here in this third set.
That one, Spolyar's able to get to Cameron, who gets it to Jaden Rattray, quickly rejected, but popped back in the air and then punched over the net by Sophia Spolyar. Vickers over to Huggins. Huggins able to arc it perfectly over the jumping Kyra Cameron and Jaden Rattray. And the St. Clair Saints looking like that timeout was a godsend, as they've really swapped the momentum in a drastic way. Now Harley Smith back at the line, up 2 points. McConkey couldn't get a good pop on that dig. And it takes that sort of difficult angle towards the net, and no one able to reel it in. And now Mohawk timeout, so they're going to look to have an equally as impactful discussion, as the Saints looked like they might be down and out in the set, maybe a little too relaxed, up 2-0. But now they're once again threatening to pull away late in this one.
Once again, the flip scripts as we have a look at the standings and seeing how good the Mountaineers have played, especially in this third set, just like they did in the first set, Matt. Not a lot of mistakes, just back and forth rallies that have gone the Saints' way, but the Mountaineers are right there again, and we'll have to see if they're able to come back into this set and maybe, just maybe, force a fourth set.
Yeah, and you see Mohawk sitting in the last playoff spot in the West, so they're kind of hanging on for dear life. They've got a little tiny bit of breathing room, but they don't really want to go up against the undefeated Seneca in round 1.
Yeah, I don't think anybody would, and the Mountaineers still have a couple games left in the season, and this one obviously probably not the opponent they'd like to face right now, but with the way they played, you know, if you face a team that's obviously not as good as the Saints are, you probably could pull away with the victory.
Kyra Cameron sets that one up for Olivia Rosewell. Smith's on the end of that. This one set up for Huggins, put high in the air by Rosewell. Backside set up from Kyra Cameron to Jaden Rattray, will be returned by Vickers herself. Spolyar and McConkey diving for it, but good play by Brooke Vickers, catching Mohawk off guard. The Mountaineers need to have some grit here. This game is on the line here in this last stretch, with Kendra Baker swapping in. Looks like Megan Battersby swapping in as well. Harley Smith still at the line. She's been on quite the run here. See if that can continue. Spolyar to Battersby, over to Rosewell, rejected right away. Good play at the net. Kyler, I think, is the one who got most of that ball. Vickers jumping with her too. Harley Smith once again serving for St. Clair, who's mounted quite the comeback here. Looking to put this game on ice, over to Rosewell for Mohawk. Huggins puts that in the air. Vickers to Hobbin. Battersby pops it up. It was a little too far for her to have a good play at, so that one goes towards the crowd and out of bounds. And another timeout, and why not, Harrison? I mean, you're really kind of in a do or die moment, if there ever was one. You're looking down, you know, the barrel of another 3-0 sweep. What do you think the messaging is in the huddle?
Yeah, I mean, they're obviously running out of time, and the Mountaineers coaches just need to remind their players how good they have played. They made a couple mistakes just in the last couple points, but they're right there, and if they're able to start turning around and, you know, obviously They'd like for the Saints to make a serving mistake, but if that doesn't come out, you're going to need some sort of kill. You're going to need a big kill and just to start to string the momentum and turn things around.
Yeah, I mean, they really played like they played their best volleyball in set number 3, and they had themselves a pretty healthy lead of 4 or 5 points at one point, and then post that really timely pause that the St. Clair side called, and credit to their coaching staff coming up with a game plan to get them back into it, and they've surged, and Mohawks only had 1 point since, so certainly not an ideal way to what looks like it's going to be the end of the game, not an ideal way to go out if it is indeed going to be a St. Clair 3-0 win, but plenty of positives to pull from it. Emily Burney, Battersby to Kendra Baker. Couldn't get it over, but Rat Ray keeps it alive. Another chance for Kendra Baker. That time, not going to be returned by the Saints. As that one caught Smith going on her back foot. Boyar to Megan Battersby. Kendra Baker, that time Hobbin tried to get a dig, but Mohawk showing signs of life with their back fully up against the wall. On the verge of losing this game, but Jaden Rattray up to bat, trying to get things moving. See if they can build on a couple of good points. Rattray serve, Hobbin to Vickers, over to Huggins, and that's gonna do it. St. Clair puts the nail in the coffin here on the 3-0 sweep. Mohawk gonna pick up their 3rd loss in a row. Just 2 games left now for them before the playoffs. They're gonna have Sheridan, who they've beat twice, and Fanshawe, I believe, who they've lost to. So they're gonna need to make the most out of those 2 matchups. After going on a 3-game win streak, they're now on a 3-game losing streak, Harrison, and although we said there's lots of good things to build on, it still hasn't translated into a win over this last stretch, but they're gonna have to find a new gear. We'll be back shortly for the men's game, so don't go anywhere. And thank you for being with us.